What is going on, guys? Today, we're going to be looking at DarkBlackRose's game. This is a tournament game that she played a couple days ago. It's going to be on Stone Keep, playing the champion Maladamba. Her role for this game is going to be support slash enabler. The kind of ults that she should be looking for here are ults to drop shields, especially late game on Nando when he has all the resil in the world. Just being able to force his shield CD back on cooldown could be very good for creating openings, as well as just making him play a little more safe with his cooldowns. Anti-dive in a sense of, off tank slash DPS dives, being able to save yourself and prevent anybody from getting too much value on you. Zoning, in the sense of, if you know that an enemy has to push through an area, you can throw your ult there, and for about 4 or 5 seconds they can't even walk into the area. This will not only buy you time, but it will prevent them from gaining any space, as well as maybe allowing your team to regain that space within that time. As well as you can use it for diving purposes. If you see an isolated target, you can throw your ult and create an opportunity for your team to go get a pick. For your buys here, Chronos is going to be your #1 buy. Honestly, you should just rush Chronos 3 and then think about your other buys. Since you don't really need resilience in this comp, in this game, you should be probably looking for Haven next. And after that, it could be either Wrecker or Death Hands. If you're feeling confident in your stuns and you feel like you really need the Death Hands, you take that. If you don't, or if you just feel like you don't really need to stun anything, Wrecker's never a bad buy, especially into double shield. It's always nice to have that extra damage on shields from your support just poking from a distance, right? So yeah. With all that being said, we're going to get into the game. The big things I'm going to be looking at in this game, I'm going to be looking at ult usage, and I'm going to be looking at positioning. I think those are probably the biggest things on a support, especially when you're first starting out and scrimming. Becoming a great support, you gotta be able to ult, and like ult all the time. You gotta know when to ult, and you gotta be good in positioning. Because if you don't have those two things, I feel like that's where most people struggle the most, and I feel like that's where you can find the most improvement. So, without further ado, let's get into the game. Okay. We are going to speed up a little bit, so we can see your buys and your loadout. Okay, so at this point, you do have Chronos 1, and we're going to look at your build very fast. Speed 5, DR 4, that's a good start. Eerie 4, this is also as good. Virtual Magic it's a filler card, you can put whatever you want. Lighter Gourd is also a good card. I like both of these filler cards. My only thing is, we'll wait for this person to stop interrupting me. Okay, the announcer. But the main thing is I really love Lighter Gourds, but I've swapped it out for Fleeting, and the reasoning behind that is because most Damba players will use their Slither as a form of rotating, because it's just faster and it's very safe. So if you're constantly using your Slither to rotate, and don't feel bad about it, because even pros do it, you should probably have Fleeting, because half a second off your Slither is huge, especially when you have Chronos 3. You basically have Slither up all game. So yeah. So if I see you slithering all the time, I would like for you to take Lighter Gourd out and to throw in a Fleeting. We are going to speed it up to get into the game. Ooh, that's very fast. Alrighty, so we are rolling out to Keep. This is good. The second that we get around this corner, I would probably dismount here, and I would start spamming my left click. Reasoning for that is because if you do hit anybody, that is a dismount, allowing your team not only to gain space, but as well as you will start to begin to charge your ultimate, right? So I would shoot, throw a gourd up onto the high ground so that my team can have that early healing. And yeah, so let's see. You do wait. And yeah, so you did wait a little bit. You probably could have got a lot more damage out, as well as you could have gotten a gourd out early, which would have in turn basically allowed you to already have healing on your team, as well as it would, by the time it's done, you would get your cooldown. You'd be already getting your cooldown back. As you can see here, your off tank is already almost dead, right? And that's a result of you not throwing your gourd and not giving anybody your right click until they've already gotten to the fight. Looking for a stun. There you go, you get your gourd out. Maybe just throwing heals on people, which is fine. I like how close you are playing with your team, this is nice. I'll throw another gourd here, and as soon as you get it, this is good. But at this point in time, I would probably rotate over to this side. I'm gonna start healing. Yeah, just make sure we're healing here. just to be in a safe position. You guys have basically already won this fight, so you can probably start looking to go to point here. So as you can see, you've already killed 3 people. You should be going to point. There you go. You're on point now. So as a support player, I like to see myself as a director of traffic, right? Where does everybody need to be? Typically, when you have a comp that's really set up for keep, you kind of want to have a tank here because you want to be set up for their retake this way. Because if you don't have a tank there and they run into your BK dies. Yeah, so I would just make sure that you're directing your tanks, especially since this is a scrim. Let them know where to be, and yeah, also tell BK he shouldn't be here. BK should be over here. Alrighty. And I'm actually gonna do this real quick because I feel like this is important. Because just by me telling you that, like, oh, they should just be there is not really helpful. Because I feel like if I show you where they should actually be, it will make things a lot easier. So we are going to write their names, right? So I feel like Koa should probably be around here. Your Bomb King should be around this doorway here. You should have your barrack here. And then you'll be on point, of course. And then your Zen should be here, right? Reasoning for all of this, right? And we're going to draw. We'll use a different color as well. So Koa is going to be blocking this way, right? His job here is to basically make sure if anything does push through here, he will be able to defend it. Once things start pushing through, he'll just back up to his BK, and the BK will back up into like the corner here, looking to defend this little choke here, forcing them to fight through them. Barrack's looking to block this way as well as get dismounts. Zen's looking to do the same from over here, and you're capping from right here, right? So this is where your teammates should be when it comes to zoning, and you want to maintain control of keep, right? And then obviously if you do if let's say that they have a touch that it's guaranteed, you're going to want to run into keep here. Your Zen's going to want to pull back into church, and your Barrack's going to want to pull back onto point, right? So here's the positionings they should be holding while zoning. This is like a soft zone, obviously, if you're not in their spawn, which is a hard zone. And then when you're pulling back, your teammates should be pulling back into keep if they're here, point, church, and you should be pulling back into keep as well. Once the fight starts breaking out, don't be afraid to just leave. As long as you let your main tank know, like, hey, I don't feel safe here. Can you get on, right? And you just make the quick switcheroo. Right now you're capping. This is good. As you can see, you missed like 3 heals there. Don't be afraid to just line up your heal, right? Take your time. At the end of the day, if you miss 1 heal, it's gonna be okay most of the times, but against better players, it's not going to be okay. So at this point in time, just make sure you just take your time and just hit your shots, right? Because if you hit them, it's a lot better than having to wait a couple seconds to get another attempt off, right? Just be patient. So right here, as you can see, your Nando, right? I mean, not your Nando. The Nando is pushing through, right? And your team is not peeling for it, which is not good. You shouldn't run into church. Why? Because what happens here is you become isolated, because none of your team is in keep. So what you should look to do is you should look to rotate into church. Reasoning for that is because you have the most help this way. You have 2 people here, and if they really do need to peel, they can instantly peel right here. You don't want to isolate yourself in an area where you don't have teammates, and that you won't have teammates for a very long time. So you're looking for a stun here. So yeah, okay. So you do put yourself back here. Your team ended up coming back. But we are missing a lot of right clicks here. So that being said, you need to take a point out of speed, and you need to put this at 5. Because if you are missing, not only missing a little bit, missing a lot, you gotta run this at 5. And I don't know if it was just an off game, you're really nervous, if it was just a tournament. But if it's not, if you're just not consistent with the things, don't be afraid to run this at 5. It's okay. Eventually you will get good enough to where you don't need it at 5. You can run it at 4, maybe even at 3, you know? But at this point in time, you're just missing way too much. And that extra CD reduction from you missing will be very important, right? So Definitely run this at 5.
Escort the payload. Defend.
Okay, so we're just gonna speed this up a little bit while we're gonna catch up to the actual fighting. This is good. So you do almost have fear here. So one thing you should be doing is you should be keeping an eye on your ult here. Oop, your BK's ulting. Make sure you're hitting him with a right click to give him speed. He can go zoom when he goes in. You gotta hit him while he's in his wind up. So keep that in mind.
Enemy killing spree.
He's gonna push here. So right here, right? Even though you just use BK, right? You can be looking for a fear right now to create a snowball, right? So right here, you see that, you know that. Okay, here. So as a support, you should kind of understand what points are what points are very powerful, right? And this area here, like this high ground, is going to be very huge. So whether you do it from here or you do it from here, what you could do is you could launch a fear right here, right? And you either stun them or you force them out, and what that would do is that will allow your Koa and your BK to take a lot of space. Either they will get kills because they are these guys are feared, or they'll get a lot of space, right? So don't be afraid to use your ult here to snowball. Right here, if I'm you, I see the Corvus, I see Tiger shooting from up top there. I'm throwing my ult, right? And I'm allowing my team to take as much space as they want. You do leave points here, which is not the best because you could have been keeping the card moving. Every inch, every second matters. Keep that in mind. In all reality, if you just hug this little spot here, you should be able to see everybody. But if you don't feel safe being on, you gotta make sure that you let your barrack know to get on. And we'll see if you did. We'll see how long it takes for him to get on. Right here, he spends a few seconds and the card's still not pushing. If anything, the card is rolling back, right? This is just going to be making it a lot harder for your team to do anything, right? So I keep that in mind. Oh, right. So right here, out of the corner of your eye, you should see this con, and I'm pretty sure your BK called that out. This is a huge fear opportunity that you can get right here, right? So I've already given you 2 examples already of opportunities that you could ult for. You could have ulted for high ground to give your team space right away. And this is going to be your second one over here, where you can ult the con and tell your DPS to focus the con, right? You got a Xin here, you got a BK up here, you fear this con dies. He does not live.
Enemy killing spree.
Slow this down, I want to take a little drink. Now to make sure that you're healing your teammates on the way out, if they can get out. The extra speed will help them escape.
Enemy killing spree.
So that could have honestly been another opportunity as well. Knowing that you're low and your barracks low, you should kind of have a sense of they're gonna just hard shove this corner, right? And you probably could have feared that corner as well as, and that would have created an opportunity to get kills as well. See a lot of people there. You know they gotta back up. I'm setting up here and I'm throwing a fear right at this corner here, right here. You know they gotta back up here. You can snowball, get these 2 picks, and get a lot of space off of this. But you decide to hold it, which is okay. I guess we're looking to take space here. Right now, you can honestly let your barrack know that, hey, can you push card? I don't want to be on card, and you can take top right with your off tank and your DPS here. It's all up to how you feel. But whatever you do, you got to make the decision a little bit faster. I think you end up fearing both the DPS here. You do. So like this fear, I felt like you were fearing to just like stop anything from pushing here. I don't think you expected to hit these DPS at all, but it's actually ends up being a huge fear, right? I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, and I'm gonna say you meant to do that, right? And that's a good fear there. You're setting up your Xin for 2 kills, so your Xin should get 2 kills here. Bang. Good job. So right here, keep the card pushing, keep shooting the shield. This is good. Let's stun. So now right here, if I'm you, I'm telling my tanks, hold spawn, take space. I'm push, you know, because you want to push card here, right? And keep spamming here. Make sure you give a gourd to your tanks top right.
Remaining.
You want to preemptively gourd people. So the second you get it, I'm expecting you to throw top right. Throw your gourd. Throw your gourd. There you go. Ooh,
9,
little too low.
8, 7.
So right here, especially against shield tanks, right? It's going to be really hard to be getting out stuns because they have really good ways of blocking it. But I want you to spam your left click more, right? Stuns are nice and all, but spam your left click. This is a tip that Mr. Hayes gave me. Spam your left click until you get to like 3 out of 10 shots, and then look for reloads. You know, the left click damage is going to usually be more important than a stun. Early game, the stun's really important and it's really effective, but you could be doing a lot more damage wise.
6, 5, 4.
You notice that the Nando is on point here. So right here, you should be letting your barrack know to get on point, and you should be looking to try and maybe back up to this corner here, so you still have LOS on your team. But I would prefer you get off and play from safety while your barrack is on the point. So right here, you should be telling him to get on, and you shouldn't be on the point anymore. You do lose your Koa here, and now you're in a very dangerous position. Now you should become the point of focus in about a second or two. You force us to the route here. So, position wise, I feel like you were just a little too deep there. You could have played from a better spot. Another thing too is and this is something that you probably don't think about as well. Even if you don't get focused to your right, you have your back to the enemy. Which means that you are lacking information, right? You're not able to make calls, not able to direct people. When you have your back to all the people doing things, you don't know what CDs they're using unless you hear them. And you know, compared to being right here, you can see everything. Even if you don't hear it, you can see it, right? And you can just soak in all the information, and you can apply that to your communication. Alrighty, so you are on Chronos 2. You're really close to Chronos 3. So I'd personally probably just save my credits here so I can get Chronos 3. So you don't have fear, but you do have both your DPLs basically. So you guys should be okay. I honestly feel like you not having your ults here, it might be better to not push into keep. But not too sure. I feel like you could still win it even when they have ults.
3, 2, 1.
So like I said, I want you to dismount a little earlier, and I want you to start spamming right now. So they don't have Nando in there, so you guys should be okay in the sense of winning just to keep fight. Make sure you're hitting him with a right click so he has speed when he goes in there. So right here, you should acknowledge that you guys have lost one, right? And make sure you're kind of trying to figure out where the DPS at. You know the Tiger's dead. So you guys can kind of hold this space here, and then you can hold this corner, make sure nobody dies. Get a pick here. Just give them a gourd. About a second, this is fine. So Koa drops the point when he really didn't have to there. Because you know the Zin could have just went back there and got the kill himself. Now you should be directing your Koa to go back into keep. That gourd should have been used for yourself, especially if you can see him walking forward, right? When you're throwing out gourds, your gourd should be kind of a little bit in front of where your person wants to go. So if they do want to leave, they can keep walking through it. But in my opinion, I feel like a big source of your self-sustain is going to be from your gourds. Don't be afraid to gourd yourself. Right, you do have fear here, so you can start asking questions. Don't be afraid to ask your Koa what they see, and if they say like, "Oh, there's 3 inside of fire," don't be afraid to just launch your ult in there. So, as you can see, there are people staring at you, right? So, in our reality, this ult is not good because of the fact that while you're in the animation of your fear, I'm pretty sure you're locked out from doing anything else. I'm pretty sure. You might be able to slither. But yeah, I think you're locked out, so you got to be careful. You throwing this fear there, it kind of opens you up to die, and you dying here should cause your team to lose this fight because they have so much time to retake, and you guys will no longer have sustain. So right there, that fear was a bad play, especially since you didn't gourd yourself to keep yourself healthy, right? You just didn't have the health to get that fear off. So instead of saving for Chronos 3, you would have to go Morale 2. And my problem with this is because there have been so many opportunities where you could look for aggressive ults, right? Where you can get a lot of value, and you're not really throwing your ults. So the fact that you're getting morale means you're going to charge them faster, and at this point in time, you're not making those decisions very quick, and you're not throwing those ults out there. So it just means your ults you're gonna gain them faster, but they're gonna be sitting for longer. If that makes sense, right? I really think Chronos 3 is it's way too good on Damba. You shouldn't be prioritizing anything else over it.
We have debts to settle.
Stop the
So
payload.
you're setting up for defense.
Attack.
For the last choke here, your defense should probably look like this. And then your Zen will float. So, I'd say it'd be like this. So, your Barrack Zen will be playing around here. They will be looking to control. They will be looking to control this area right here. These guys will be looking to control, here. If you're playing back at least, and you're here, and yeah, this is what your last choke defense should probably look like. Zen should be either here or floating around here. He should be kind of back and forth whenever he needs to be. But yeah, especially the only reason that he doesn't really need to be right here is because they don't really have a flank threat that can take high or punish high really. It will really only like be putting shots into the barrack. In our reality, if you're Zen over here and something comes this way, Barrack can kind of defend himself while you go into their backline. Well, while the Zen goes into their backline. So let's see. If you guys are able to take space here, you guys have two options, right? You can sit back and you can defend this top right high ground here, or what you can do is you can look to shove keep real quick and try to get one of your tanks right here, and while the card's still here, right? And you guys can look for an aggressive defense. This is the reason that the second option is really good is because by shoving through here, right, especially since nobody's covering it, what you enable your team to do is start a fight here instead of back here. And instead of getting possibly one fight, if they just beat you, you get two fights, right? So on defense, you want to guarantee yourself as many fights as possible. And I think in space here, you can guarantee yourself at least two fights, right? So this is a call that you can make as a support. Hey, shove! I want to shove keep. I want to take a fight. I want to take a fight early, right? I don't want to fight a last choke. I want to take a fight early. And it doesn't really matter if they get this space, because if you're stopping the card right here and you're just playing it safe and everybody's staying healthy, it doesn't matter, because as long as the card's not moving, the time is going down. Their positioning doesn't matter, because they're not, as long as they're not getting picks and getting value, you're totally fine. Now we're here. So you really didn't need to use Slither there, but yeah. Girl, if you don't just wait a second and make sure you hit your shot instead of spamming that jaunt, come on, man. So right here, it's an okay spot. I don't think it's the best, especially because if Tiberius is up here spamming, you could be in a lot of danger. In all reality, I would prefer that if you're playing from right here, so you should let your team know if anything that they should be playing. To make sure that they don't give up the spot here. I like to call this spot Cubby. Let them know that they cannot give up Cubby, because you want to play up here with them. The main thing's probably gonna die here. You do drop from you being high ground, which is kind of unfortunate. You could have did the same thing but gone this way. And you would have still had the same LOS without having to drop high, right? When you drop high, you kind of just, what is the word? You kind of just forfeit your positioning, right? You just didn't need to drop there. And now if you want to get back top right, you got to make a long rotation. But in our reality, it's probably the smartest idea to do that rotation, so you probably going to play from this position underneath. I don't like that you're walking super deep in mid. In our reality, you should just play right here. Reason for it is because you will get the angles on them from here. And if you do need to get the angles, it's a quick rotation this way. Like I said, I would have preferred if you were just up here, because then you're healing and you have a rotation right here, which is pretty fast in my opinion as well. So, as well as you're in a place where it's really hard to die. But right here, you are in a very risky position. You don't really have any room for peel. And if somebody peeks through this doorway here, they actually should have an angle on you. And they should be kind of safe from the BK, right? So, keep that in mind. One thing I want you to think about as a support is whenever you take a position, right, I want you to think about escape routes, right? You should have a way out at all times with some, it's just in case somebody has a possible dive on you. I should have said that a lot earlier, but I'm saying it now. So, yeah. So they're up here. So now by you slithering up here, right, it kind of forces your team to play hyper aggro here, even if they really weren't ready to, because you're in a position where if they don't play aggro, they're going to run on you or they're going to kill you. You lose BK from the cross angle because they're playing too slow. Kill was forced to pop out here because he doesn't want to lose his space, but he did just lose his BK, so I don't even know if it's worth it anymore. Enemy team should be looking to collapse on y'all. You're running away. This is okay. Get a guard onto that barrack. Girl, slow down. Slow down. Hit your right click. Relax. You're fine. You're fine. Boom. Gorge yourself. Gorge yourself. If you don't gorge yourself here, which means you're not healing, because you're probably going to be throwing out like spam damage, things like that, right? So you're at 600 HP. All it takes is 2 tiger shots and you're dead, right? Or he throws a sword at you and explodes it and you're dead. So gorge yourself here. Look for a right click on the barrack, right? And instead of right clicking your barrack, you're throwing out a stun. And from this far away, the likeliness of you hitting a stun is so low. The value of the stun compared to the value of the heal, it doesn't even compare. The heal was 100% the choice there, right? You should be gourding yourself there, and you should be looking for a right click on your barrack to keep him alive.
Enemy killing spree. Enemy double kill.
You see what I mean? Just like I said, you don't gorge yourself, you never get healthy, and Tiger hits you with 1 shot and you're dead. Ah, my mouse! What the heck? Mouse pad is dirty, I guess. It's blocking my sensor. There you go. Alrighty. So the second you die, you should let your team know that you guys have no heals so they can play a certain way, right? Alrighty. Tank swap. You're holding the high ground here. I like that you don't drop here, right? The reason that I like it is because at the end of the day, he made a bad choice and he got punished for it. There's no need for you to drop and then you both get punished for it, right? At the end of the day, like you can't save everybody. If they're making bad decisions, it's on them. Right? Go gourd to your Koa. Give them some form of self-sustain. As you can see, you are getting cross-angled, right? So what you can do is you can let your team know, like, hey, I can't hold up this high. Like, you got to stay in my LOS. You got to play more back, right? And you just back up, and you play here, right? And you tell them, like, make them play in your LOS, right? The choke's already here. You don't have to play that far up. You can kind of give them the space. At the end of the day, BK Barrack should be able to hold, even if they're close up. Like if the con is right here playing into a BK Barrack, the BK Barrack should win. You know, it's like they just need to either they're playing outside of the doorway or they're going to play in the doorway. Make sure they're maintaining LOS if they can, right? But they should have no problem in this matchup, even if they close the distance. But by you playing up here, you are opening yourself up to 1, 2, 3 angles, right? I'm gonna say 4 because the point tank can do it too, right? So there's 4 possible angles that you can get shot from, compared to if you put yourself in a position of power for your position, right? You're playing back here. There is no angle on you, right? If you're behind this statue, there is no angle. No one can shoot you because the only angle let's say the only angles they might have are here and here, right? But these guys are holding this, and it's very unlikely that someone will look to poke you from down here compared to poking your tank, right? This is going to be a very long vlog.
30 seconds remain. Enemy
So there is a con to your right. You know? So right here, you need to make a decision, right? Are you going to commit ults to defend this, right? In my opinion, you should. because you don't want to go down 3-1. I hate going down 3-1. I think it's the worst. So in all reality here, you could just throw an ult on the Khan, and what that would do there is that will allow your BK to finish that kill. And if you don't know your BK is alive, you should know your BK is alive, and you should be communicating, right? So a fear on the Khan is going to create an opportunity for you guys to blow up the Khan, while the Xin contests from point.
15 seconds remain. An enemy is unstoppable.
Rip.
Enemy killing.
There's no point of contesting here, just feeding ult charge. If they want to build ult, I guess it's fine, but so be careful of what kind of ult you're feeding, right? You know, because giving a Khan his ult back is never the best idea. Alrighty, so you still don't have. You should have. No, you still don't have enough for Chronos 3. So the game is basically about to be over, and you don't have Chronos 3. And this is where buying them morale is going to bite you in the butt, because you need that extra CD for your heals and your mobility.
Capture point spawning in 15 seconds.
Ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Fear. There you go. Boom. Even if you didn't get a direct pick out of it, you create a lot of space, right? You basically just force them out of the area that y'all want to control, right? Don't get picks, but you get spaces. That's value. The only thing you probably could have improved on is throwing it a little earlier, right? And trying to put it behind them, right? Because let's say you got little Connie boy right here, right? If you throw the ult behind them, it will force him forward. Compared to throwing it in front of him, it'll force him backwards, right? So you can kind of control the area of where you fear them to. By throwing it behind them, it will force them into your team, making it a lot easier for your team to kill them. You guys don't get any kills out of this. So now you need to start working onto the point. Like I said, Director of Traffic, I hate when DPS peek this balcony. I think it's very dumb. Don't peek this balcony as a DPS. Tell your BK to play with the Koa. You should be sitting right here, in my opinion, so that you can see both your tanks. There should be no reason why the Koa is getting blown up like that and not getting healed, as well as not being assisted by his Bomb King. You are getting targeted here. You're forced to slither. You're probably gonna get dove. He's dead. Be careful with your health. Gorge yourself. Don't be afraid to heal yourself. Right here, you can let your back node push up a little bit, right? You need to keep an eye, right, on where your team is at, right? As you can see, there are 3 people here. They're going to be looking mid. They're going to be looking to put damage into main, right? But if they have a choice between shooting barrack and shooting you, they're going to shoot you. So if your barrack's already on point, don't be afraid to just walk off. And now you're with your Koa again, right? Because you should be paying attention to respawns, as well as keeping your head on a swivel, right? You should know that your Koa's here. You should be rotating into keep, right? And now you can play these stairs here. From these stairs, you can heal your tank if he plays in the right position, as well as you can keep your Koa and your PK healed here, and you are in a safe position, right? So right here, you should be early rotating left. What you do, you slow their back, and now the peel that you would have had, you no longer have from your off lane. Now you're in a isolated area. Your Xin crosses over. So now with your Xin crossing over, you now have 0 teammates on this side to help you. So now you become a very easy dive target. And my boy Typidius definitely sees you here. There's no way he doesn't see you, right? And Corvus being up here, he definitely sees you too. So they're going to call to push you. So honestly, right here, your best bet, and it may seem a little dumb, is to walk forward and look for a slither this way. There is no way you're going to outrun this Lex. You're not going to duel this Lex. He's going to win this 100% of the time. Your best bet here is to just dodge as much as you can and get in here and ask for a shield, right? That is the best possible scenario you have here. But you back up, you slither back. By slithering back, you just further isolate yourself. And now you are 100% dead. And this all stems from the simple decision of you were safe on point. You had a decision of, okay, my tank doesn't feel like it's a smart idea to move. It wasn't a smart idea to move. So, my Koa's back. I rotate to Koa. now I have people to play around, right? So I'm gonna make a little drawing just to explain it a little bit better, right? Let's say your barrack is on point, your Koa, and so put R for Rick. Your Koa and your BK are here, and your Zin's off and La La Land, which is okay. By you playing here, what does this do? This creates like a shell, right? This creates like a little shell for you to play inside of, compared to if you're over here, you're not in that shell, and you don't have peel. Because at the end of the day, if something dives you, people can peel to you if you're close enough. If you're not, they would have to commit way too much just to peel for you, and they'd be giving up positioning and possibly getting themselves killed just to peel for you when you could have been here the whole time and playing in a safe position. So, back to you. You're dead. Your team no longer has heals. And now they have to contest the point with no heals. Barrack has to heal out of combat because you're dead. Throw has to touch for the Barrack. Barrack drops, not knowing how early the throw was going to touch. And now it is a fight for their lives. And that is GG.
Enemy double kill.
So, while this game is ending, right, there's going to be some key points to talk about, right? And I'm actually going to pull up the notepad so you can have a visual of what I'm saying. So, let's pull up the notepad here. So, bam. Let's talk about some notes, okay? God, this is such a bright screen. 1. I don't know how to spell the card. Is it like this? Gary 5. You're missing way too many heals. So so as of right now, you are not allowed to run anything under Eerie 5 until you become comfortable enough that you're missing little to no heals, right? And then you can drop it down to 4. And then when you feel like you're a god Damba, maybe you can think about dropping it to 3. But right now, you're just not in a position to be playing that as 4. You need it at 5. 2. Ults. Don't be afraid to just toss them, right? There's so many opportunities, and I can definitely put it down to just experience and game sense. I've definitely played a ton of Damba, so anytime I see an ult opportunity, I don't even hesitate. I'm just throwing my ult, right? So I definitely feel like the more you play Damba, especially in a scrim scenario, and the more you just throw your ult in scrims, the more comfortable you will get. You will be basically with just ulting, right? And knowing what exactly you want to ult. A good thing to do is before every game, as you're loading in, question yourself, what can I ult this game, right? Do I need to counter ult something? Yes, no. If you need to counter ult it, you counter ult. If you don't, okay, since I don't need to counter ult, I can ult to either save myself, right? Or I can create an opportunity for my team. How can I do that? And start thinking about that kind of stuff. The third tip I can put down here is going to be for every position you take as a support, right? Let's be a little bit better than this. You take, right? You need to have an escape plan, as well as your team needs to know where you're at. So a good thing to be saying is I'm healing from here, right? Or, like if you rotate, let them know where you're rotating to, so they not only can peel for you better, because if you go from mid to church and you're like, oh, I need help, now they have to look for you before they can think if they can help you or not. Compared to if you go from mid to church, it's like, oh, I'm healing from church, right? And now that'll be in the back of their heads. So when it's like, oh, I need help, they should know to go to church. 4. Spam. You need to be spamming your left clicks more instead of constantly winding up stunts, right? You're gonna get a lot more done with your left click than you are with stunts for most of the time, because you're either breaking shields, getting out that extra damage to build your ult, or just putting in extra damage to make enemies lower, basically setting up kills in that regard. And then Chronos 3 over everything. Chronos 3 on Damba is huge. Right? Your healing output, your mobility output, your mobility is going to be so much bigger when you have Chronos 3. There's no reason not to get it on Damba. So basically Eerie, your ults, positioning, spam left clicks instead of. Okay, another thing about positioning is keep track of your team and try and play around them, right? For example, you rotate you and that last mid you went to church. You just slithered back main instead of going into keep, and you basically made yourself a free dive target. And honestly, if you don't die there, I don't see you guys losing that fight. Both the things kind of just walked in. You could have honestly just sped your BK and he could have altered their backline. So many things could have been done there. If you're alive, right? Like with you being alive, that's just so many more resources that you can abuse and use compared to when you're not, right? I really don't think I have anything else. I probably do, and if I do, I'll probably message you personally. But these are the big keynotes that I want you to keep in mind. Obviously, we went over the game, so you heard what I thought about there. But yeah, hopefully this helped you in any way. Thank you for letting me review your match, and yeah. All right, everybody, I will see you in the next one. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to keep up to date with my guides and VOD reviews. Take care, everybody, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.